We have gotten a lot of comic book projects for 2025, so let's rank all of the comic book projects that I've watched. In last place, it's unfortunately The Old Guard 2. This was such a step down from the first film. While it did have some cool moments, there was just stuff in the story, stuff in the lore that it tried to expand that just didn't work in my opinion. At number 16 is Harley Quinn Season 5. Listen, I love Harley Quinn. I love the first two seasons of this. I love Harley's dynamic with Ivy. There were just some moments in this that I don't think necessarily worked. There are times where this feels more like a parody, which is fine, of course. And I will say this was a huge improvement to Season 4, but it is just nowhere near on the level of how good Season 1 and 2 was. At number 15 is Red Sonja, as I believe this is based on the Dynamite Entertainment version of the character. And with this film, it was a fun one. It wasn't the best, but yet it was still pretty entertaining enough. At number 14 is Eyes of Wakanda. And this was a fun one. It was pretty interesting to learn more about Wakanda in the past. Some fun stories in this. I don't think it was nothing too amazing, but yet it was still entertaining enough. At number 13 is Creature Commando Season 1. With this season, it did start in 2024, but yet it did end in 2025, so I'm counting it on this list. And it was pretty entertaining, some great music, introducing to a lot of great new characters. But with the finale, it did unfortunately felt rushed, and I thought it was just okay by the end. Some really crazy moments, but I do think that with the finale, it could have been much better. At number 12 is Zenvi Season 2. And I thought this was a great continuation to the first season, but at the same time a bit of a step back. But yet it was still great to get more of these characters in the Boys universe. And I did think it did good setting up for the Boys Season 5. Even though I do think it could have done more with this season, I thought it was still a fun season. At number 11, it's Ironheart. And I had a lot of fun with this series. I thought it was cool how it mixed the Doctor Strange side of the MCU and the Iron Man side of the MCU. It was great to get more of Riri Williams, Ironheart, and how it introduced Mephisto was pretty epic. At number 10 is Peacemaker Season 2, and while this did feel like a step back from Season 1, it still had some great moments, like how it explored Chris, Peacemaker was really good, but I do wish that it did more with some of the side characters, especially with Vigilante, as it felt like most of the time he was there just to be there. But with how the finale went, man, they fumbled that. At number 9 is Captain America Brave New World. And I had a lot of fun with this film. I thought it was pretty entertaining. It was great to get Anthony Mackie's Captain America, Sam Wilson. It was great to see Harrison Ford as President Rods turning into the Red Hulk. Like with this, I thought it was a pretty solid film, getting Sam Wilson's Captain America, and it was a lot of fun. At number 8 is Marvel Zombies. And this was one that caught me by surprise, as it does continue with that one episode from What If. But yet with this series, it was brutal and it just had a lot of unexpected moments. But yet a lot of great character moments too, and just some crazy zombie moments that one would not expect from Marvel. At number 7 is The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 3. While Daryl is of course not a comic book character, but he is still one of the best characters to come from Walking Dead, and how Walking Dead has been expanded on AMC. It's been a hit and miss, but with the Daryl Dixon series, it's been a hit so far, and Season 3 just had a lot of great moments for the character and with its zombie kills. It is always great to get more of Daryl and Carol together. At number 6, it's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1, and I thought this had some great Spider-Man content. The animation was amazing, and I love how it blends what we saw Spider-Man in the MCU, but with what we know of Spider-Man in the comics together. And I thought that Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn, voicing Norman Osborn, was really good. At number 5 is Invincible Season 3. And this was a crazy season of Invincible. It had some brutal moments, but yet some great character moments for Mark, and some great Mark and Adam Eve moments. Invincible is currently one of my favorite shows, and I cannot wait to see what they do next. At number 4 is Superman. And I just love what James Gunn did with Superman. I love David Cornsby as Superman. As I believe with this film, it got Superman perfectly right, where he is spreading hope for the world, giving off hope, and just David Cornsby perfectly portrayed that, perfectly brought that to life. As it does feel like that this is a film that we need now. At number 3 is The Fantastic Four First Steps. And I thought this was a fantastic movie. I loved how we explored the Fantastic Four in this, seeing how they're a family, seeing that family dynamic, and just seeing Galactus in live action. And he is in a cloud. That was just epic. This film had a lot of fantastic moments. I do think that it could have had more to the film, but at the same time, just the cast, the characters, and what it does, I thought it was just fantastic. At number 2 is Daredevil Born Again. And I love the original Daredevil series, and I loved what they did with it. I loved how it ended up being a continuation to what we saw of Daredevil in the original series. Even though they had to do a creative rehaul, but yet still, just getting Charlie and Vincent back in their characters, that is still just amazing to see as always. And with the upcoming season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, I do think it'll be even better than this. But at number 1, and my favorite comic book project for 2025 is Thunderbolts. I just loved what they did with the characters in this. I loved the story and I loved the themes that it had. How it introduced Bob, but yet how we got more of these characters was just amazing. And as always, Bucky, he is one of my favorite characters, so it is great to get more of him. Overall, that is my ranking of all of the comic book projects that I watched for 2025. But what would be your ranking? What was your favorite comic book project? What was your least favorite comic book project? Let me know in the comments below and follow me for more.